welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Danielle Sady, business coach and consultant, and coming live from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Thank you so much, AJ, for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India. And I'm sure a lot of people will be able to benefit from what we'll be talking about. And we'll talk about how to start a successful e-commerce venture, e-commerce business from the scratch. So my first question is about the number one rule for starting a business, that too, online business. Let's start with that.
It's having a plan, AJ. You have to find something that you are extremely passionate about. It'll potentially come that product or service that you'll start with will come from a pain point or seeing a gap in the market. You need to be really passionate about it, but you need to start with a plan. With no plan, they say, fail to plan, plan to fail. And it is so true.
Okay. So a plan is the most important thing. How do I plan a plan? Because yes, sometimes it can be very difficult. That first step is the most difficult step. So how do I know? Does it begin from a plan, or does it begin from an idea, or does it begin from a product or service which has been there on my mind? How does it work? Because the first step, as I said, sometimes is the most important step to take.
It is definitely the most important step. And it can come from different ways, AJ. So depending on who you are, there's no one way that it's going to form initially, but it's getting that idea and then starting to put it down on paper. What is that product? What does it look like? Who is it going to service? Where are you going to stream through? Like, we're talking about e-commerce in particular here. So it's going to be an online product or service that you're selling through an e-com site. But how does it work? If it's a service-based product, what are you offering? What items can customers or clients buy or download from you? You need to start thinking about all of that right at the very beginning to have a clear picture of who you are, because the reality is you're sitting in a position right now where you're thinking about an idea, but you then need to look at what the goal is out of it. And that's why the plan's so important. It's going to take you from the reality of today, and it's going to help you navigate then and have a look at all the steps that need to come to get you to what your goal is. So putting it on paper, having it all in your head is all great, but that's why I call it the planning phase, because it's about getting it out of here, transposing it across, so you can actually start seeing some logical things within it and thinking about who, how, when, what, all those key questions to have a look. From there, you may not even find that product idea, etc., AJ, is the one that's going to lead you there. And that'll be a really good analysis for you. But it could find that this is the one that sets the fire in you is going to be the right one.
Right, Daniel. Now, see, some things come naturally to you. You started working in your dad's car dealership at the age of 8. And then you learned a lot of things. And then you worked with a lot of companies. In 20 years of your career, worked with Australia's largest wholesale, retail, and franchisee businesses across a variety of industries, including bedding and furniture, apparel, FMCG, pharmaceuticals, homewares, and automotive. So you have an idea about a lot of these businesses. But for a person, especially for a first generation entrepreneur, they don't have any background into this. And so any idea which looks good, they may hesitate because you just don't know. It's always going to be a leap of faith for them. So in terms of, at the present scenario, when you look at it and the market that your clients, what do they come to you for? Are there any specific problems that they come to discuss with you? Or they just come to you also that, okay, Daniel, I don't have a business, so I want to start a business. So help me start it from the scratch. How does it work? I want to understand through you the present environment around online business that
Yeah.
you can, because it's a very different market that was perhaps say before COVID, even during COVID. A lot of
Yes.
plans, big companies, they just did not work out. There have been a lot number of layoffs. And now, as we are coming almost out of COVID, what is the scenario this look like? This looks like to be a very different terrain, very different territory. And because you are so close to the ground, working with people, you would be able to exactly tell what does it look like at the moment on the online business front.
It's really a mixed bag, AJ. It's such a combination. You've got businesses that are absolutely thriving, and coming through COVID was such a blessing, honestly, to some businesses because they needed that exposure and it was found online for them by people searching them. They worked on their SEO or different areas there. And then you've got other businesses, like you've got multinational companies throughout Australia, the US, and Europe who actually moved from a supply chain, so they were dealing with wholesale only customers, to now selling direct online. So then those categories now have really big giants in the retail side working in it. So it is it's very different, but it's also you know, it's one where anyone can get cut through if they are consistent, taking action, and moving forward with it. So, the biggest thing that I see with clients at the moment is them getting stuck or getting caught in their own way, looking for excuses to why they haven't done something or whatever. At the end of the day, we're accountable to ourselves. So, you know, a lot of what you do in building a business or a brand, especially when you don't have any background, like I just want to say, as much as I had all of that experience, AJ, I hit some really hard knocks when it came into the business because I thought I knew more than what I actually did. So I got a hell of a lot of wake up calls. And it's actually one of the reasons why I wrote my book that's just about to hit bookstores, because AJ, so many people aren't as blessed as what I am to have the opportunities, but also to know what the actionable steps are and how they can get out of their own way to kind of take a step forward each day. So there is huge opportunity to go out online. Don't let others, how do I put it? Don't let others' success deter you, but also don't let others' failure deter you, because you've got your own journey to go on with this. And it's really about asking questions. And when you're starting any business, and it doesn't matter, you can see these big companies that are out there, but you've got to know that they actually started where you did, as a brand new business, as someone who may not have had all the education or experience behind them. And like I said, on one of them, I had a lot of corporate experience, but when it came to running my own business, I hit some really big hurdles because I just didn't know what I didn't know. And sometimes you don't know the questions you need to ask. So as you navigate this path, the really good thing to do is use the web, do research, get yourself out there, network where you can, whether it be online or whether it be through reading books. And like I said, that was the inspiration for writing my book, because I wanted people who didn't have the exposure, who to maybe the education I've had, to the experience in the corporate world, because all these things that I've learned getting started have ultimately led me to then knowing what I know today. And it's those failures, those or lessons, however you want to refer to them. But there is a huge amount of opportunity. The landscape is constantly changing, and it's really up to the individual to sort of take the action to move themselves forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. And now you see, you talked about taking some hard knocks, and in spite of your experience, it is okay. You have the time, and it is better to see things on the ground and learn with, yeah, with that experience and move forward with experience rather than getting that hard knock later on. So and you see the result is that now you are much more experienced. You have
Yeah.
written a book which is helping others, and you are a a business coach and consultant helping out. So not just only your business, but a lot of other businesses as well. So in terms of understanding the landscape, why I ask this is that earlier on, people said that, listen, you don't have to worry about starting your business. You can be an entrepreneur right now. And so there was this concept of drop shipping. You don't do anything. You just put on a website. There were so many other website platforms, and and you just go there, pick stuff from somewhere else, put them all together, sell, do this social selling, and everything will be handled by other companies. All you just
Mm-hmm.
need to think about is count the commissions that you are getting.
Yeah.
What is dropshipping a real online business? How do you see? What is the state nowadays? I am not listening, hearing drop shipping, or is it that I am not looking at the right platforms to hear about that? Or can anyone start with drop shipping at the moment? Second thing is that a lot of people think about you know fully chiseling their idea or a product service and then go online. And there is another group of people, they say, don't worry about too much, just go for the minimum viable product and just launch it, and then fine tune your strategy, your product as you go by. Two, three things at the same time, Daniel, but you are the expert, you are the master for today,
Yeah.
and they are so interrelated. I thought, ask them together so that you can answer them at your own pace and the way you want to help us understand both the drop shipping as well as the minimum viable product, so that one can start, get going as quickly as possible.
Listen, starting with the drop shipping, I have yet to work with a client who has made millions or even thousands from drop shipping. That's me personally. I've never touched it. So I don't want to, I can give you my opinion on that. As I said, I've seen many people do courses and things like that. I've had quite a few clients come to me who have wanted me to help them get their drop shipping business up and running because they've tried to do the courses and things that are out there. And as I said, I have not seen one successful person making a wage off that yet. That's not to say it can't be done. I personally don't have the experience within it. You can definitely, I'm sure, with anything, find a way to do different things. There's so many affiliate programs and drop shipping and these different ways, but without exploring it in great detail or having done it personally, I don't want to give anything more than my opinion on it. So there is ways, but it just, again, I think you need to spend the time and energy really researching that about what the turnaround time is versus the hours you're outputting. Because at the end of the day, if you're having to do 25 hours on top of a full-time job or something to get this small drop shipping wage, is it
Right.
really worth it? Could your time be spent somewhere else? Because time equals money. So if you're spending 25 hours and not pulling a wage from that, well, that's going to be a problem. So you really need to look at the return on the investment, and when that return is based upon your hours of output to it with what return you're going to get on it. So that's that. Minimum viable product, you can start with something that is, almost prototype land or something like that if you want to go a minimum viable product first. But I will say this one thing on that, AJ, and that is you have one chance to make a first impression. So if you're going out with something that is subpar and not 100%, a product or business will grow and develop over time. There's no doubt about that. If it's not growing and developing, you're not listening to your audience. But if you're prepared to offer a subpar product, knowing that it should be better than that, and that's what you're going to launch with, well, I think you're setting yourself up for failure because you're going out with something that's not actually what your target customers are waiting on or your clients are waiting on. So you need to think about, again, come back to who it is, why you're doing it, what's it for, how is it servicing, is it actually ticking all of the boxes? Because if you're in a production setup phase of a product in particular, that is quite costly anyway. And if it means one or two more rounds of prototypes versus just getting something out that could cost you with your clients, you're actually going to end up in, I'd say, probably a predicament where you haven't given your best foot forward to start with. So I would always say lead as best you can. My product developed as it came out in both businesses. One was a product that I made from scratch. The other one was product I bought from other companies and then sold on in Australia that I imported. And both of them definitely evolved over time, but I came to market with the best possible product when I launched both of those businesses.
Right, right, Daniel. And in terms of, you talk about that some owners, they get in their own way when they work. How does this happen? Because if it's a good idea, I'm in the, how can I get in my own way, and how do I realize I'm getting in the own way, in my own way of success? Second thing
Yeah.
is that you also talk about that, there are things that hold you back from your business and business success. What is it that is holding? One is that I am becoming a problem for my business, and secondly is that I am holding back myself in terms of whatever thought process I have. How do you, or would you like to tell a lot of potential entrepreneurs or people who have just started their business, what do you tell your clients about this?
So the first part is your mindset. So if you come in believing that you can't do something, you're not going to be able to do it. Mindset plays a huge part in anything we go and do. Being there focused on what you're doing and really allowing yourself to be in that moment and embrace it. And a lot of the time we can come with fear. So fear can hold us back because we feel that, like, if moving forward, we're out of our safety zone. And once we get out of our comfort zone or safety zone, fear kicks in and tries to pull us back in because we think we might not be good enough. We could be found out. Anything can kind of happen. And so we can go back into our safety zone without trying to challenge ourselves. When we challenge ourselves, it's the scariest part of being an entrepreneur and a business owner, right? Because again, we may not know what we're doing, but it allows us to actually grow and learn more. And so getting in our own way is definitely one way. We hold ourselves back in that safety zone. So it's pretty easy to identify when I'm working with my coaching and consulting clients when they're starting to get in their own way. But the other part about it is when we go with something and we start seeing it, how we stop that is by having self-awareness. If we can remove the ego part of our, a lot of the time we go with ego as human beings, where it could be we start blaming other people, or, we want to throw a tantrum, or whatever it may be that is your way of reacting. When we're self-aware enough to understand that that's actually our ego playing out, it then can actually remind you, go, hang on, I'm having a moment here. This is my ego controlling it. I've either made a mistake or there's a problem here and I need to sort it. What's the real issue? And when we look at self, it can actually get us so far along. Rather than blaming others, we can identify what we can change and move forward. But that comes from self-awareness. So as soon as we can start identifying that happening, it makes a huge difference in how we move forward, how we receive information from others, and how we look at objectives or obstacles that come in our way when we're on our business journeys.
Right, right, Daniel. You put it well, and I'm sure a lot of people will understand their own mindset through your understanding of all this, thing about mind and business. And when people should actually mind their own business and focus on fully promoting their business, and rather than holding them back, letting their mind hold them back. Now
Right.
coming to the right. So when you are starting a business, earlier there was a lot of talk about, okay, you start your business, go on Shopify, you go on all those platforms, Etsy, even Amazon. But nowadays, a new concept after this whole ownership about owning your email addresses and all that stuff, with Twitter having their own problems. So people think that, okay, these platforms can have problems. And then it is better that I look at my own way. So how do I start my business? Should I just focus on my own website? Should I focus on Amazon? Should I focus on going through Shopify or other platforms, Etsy? How should I go when I start an online business for myself, or has it to be a combination of both, so that I am not left in the lurch if there is any problem anywhere in the world? How do I make the
Great
best use of
question.
such platforms, as well as de-risk myself from this platform? Because if they are gone, I am gone. How do you
Yeah.
look at it?
Fantastic question. So I've always made sure that I've used a bit of a combination of different things. So I had a presence on Facebook, a presence on Instagram. I personally use Shopify. I looked at some alternate websites, and to be honest, not having the support there in the technology space when I was starting out, if something went wrong. So if that website went down, someone like Shopify, you can be back up very quickly. Your WordPress, Shopify, any of those type of platforms, they normally back up fairly quickly because you've got this huge tech giant behind you. But to decide whether you're going to Etsy, Shopify, etc., that's going to come down to budget. It's going to come down to budget with any of those, because depending on what you have to start with, and again, I think website was actually my largest chapter in the book, AJ. I think it was something like 5,000 words just in this one chapter. And the reason for that is there's so much that goes into it that some people think, oh, I'll just put something quick together in there. But if the customer, the user experience, they call it UX, UI experience, isn't there, you're going to have a hard time converting from visitors on your website to actual sales. Now, that's the aim of a website, right? Is to convert a visitor into a sale so you bank money for your time. So being open 24/7, it's really important to have a look at the total budget you have available for it. And it shouldn't be the scraps left over. It's got to be part of that plan when you look at how much cash flow you're setting up with. And you've got to have a look at what's there. So you can get free templates on things like Shopify, WordPress. You can alter yourself fairly easily. Like, all of that's going to come into play. But again, it's going to come back to your plan. Who do you need to reach? How often do you need them to be on there? If you're going for something where it's a service-based business and you've got a chance your website's going to go down because you've done it for, $500 in the background from a friend of a friend, and it's these basic websites someone's running, and you're trying to run, say, for instance, a coaching program, well, that's never going to work, is it? Because you've got that objective that's going to come in the way if the clients don't have a good experience when they're logging on to do your courses, versus a WordPress website that you know is going to run and give your clients what they need, that experience every time. So again, you need to understand who you are, who you're targeting, what your budget is. Have a website plan. If you don't know how to do that, like I said, AJ, the book has it all. We have physical actions at the end of every chapter, and you don't have to read the book cover to cover. I wanted people to have actions that they can look at to then decide, do your website plan, and then you'll understand what you need, and then you can break it down. Okay, these are my options. This is my budget. Who can then help me build that?
Right, Daniel. Now coming to the book itself, because you have put a lot of. Tell us who this book is all about, and help us understand more about the details. What exactly the book entails. You have already mentioned a couple of things, but much more detail will help people understand that book
Yeah.
is useful for them, and they can go and get hold of it.
Yeah, definitely. So the book is called Once Upon a Startup. And it's because it was like a fairy tale for me, starting it all and going through this journey. But unlike Cinderella, I didn't get a glass slipper somewhere along the line. I had some really hard knocks that taught me things like, I hadn't allowed for merchant fees for online sales. So people purchasing, and using PayPal or ZipPay, and it was costing me 6% on top of my 2% Shopify transaction fee or whatever it may be. So there's things like that. And I went, you know what? I had to go through so many courses, financial, situations that cost me a lot of money to kind of figure this all out as I went along. So I went, how could I give this knowledge to someone else in a way that they could then take it away and start a whole business? So I ended up chatting to a publisher and got this book deal, and she's like, this needs to get out there. So the book is written, it's got, I think, 22 chapters or something, but they're broken up into sections, AJ. So if a reader has already started their business journey and they just want to understand about websites, they can pick up that bit, read about websites in those 10 pages, write all their notes. They have a list of actions for that chapter. We've got a little bit of mindset work in there as well. So I finish every chapter about the mindset work, but also if you want to read my story, you read cover to cover because my story is embedded in it as well. So I talk about the different reasons why that chapter is important or why I wrote it, because this is the experience I had. So it's really about showcasing my journey with actionable steps for people to then take away for a lot cheaper price than doing the thousands of dollars of courses and coaching that I did.
Right, right. And get hold of this. Where is this available? And secondly, a lot of people know more about you, about your resources that you have put on your websites, and also how can they professionally engage with you.
Certainly. So this is what the book looks like, AJ. There's one of it. So it'll be out in all good bookstores at the end of, there we go, at the end of this month. Is that the right way? There we go. It'll be out at the end of this month. It will be available for pre-sale in about a week from my website, daniellesady.com. To engage me for consulting or coaching, so there's a simple inquiry form that I do online. So everyone that I work with, AJ, from a client base, I do like to do a preliminary 20-minute Zoom call with them, just so then they can gauge me, I can gauge them, and we can see if the actual relationship would work for both of us, as well as me being the right person to help them where they're at. So they fill in their details, give me as much information. I get back to them with some possible times to link up via Zoom. So it doesn't matter where in the world they are. Once we have that 20-minute sort of conversational or entry call, from there we decide if we're going to work together. And then I do project-based work. So if there's a specific project someone wants to work on, we do it on a project base. Otherwise, we do like a monthly consulting as well, where we link up every single week for a 30-minute call. They go away. We get actions out of that call every week. And then we build out through that way doing the business. Because it's not about me taking the action. It's about me giving my clients guidance and coaching for them to take the action and accountability within their business to move forward. So, book will be available in the next week through my website, link for pre-orders. It'll be available, I believe, through Amazon. I think my publisher was confirming the other day. So there'll be a number of places, and it'll be physical stores as well, internationally. But yeah, definitely, I'd love to hear from a lot of your listeners who are interested in sort of pushing themselves past the point they're at now and either getting started on the building process. I love startups because it's such an exciting time for people to discover so much, not just about themselves, but the business world and going that way. And it's really hard when you're a solopreneur trying to do it and you don't feel like you've got the support. And that's why I really wanted to offer, almost be that fairy godmother to those people. Like I said, once upon a startup just felt so natural, and I feel like it's been a fairy tale to end up now coaching and consulting other businesses. So to have that opportunity to work with, men and women from around the globe is just so incredible for me. So it'd be great for some of your listeners to reach out. I'd love to chat with them further.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like that word, fairy godmother, and I'm sure almost all businesses would need someone like that. So on this positive note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much.